Hello. In today's episode, Potato by Night, I'll talk about my Contraption 3.0. Contraption 3.0 that I built fairly recently, I think. It was just a couple of weeks. I already played like 5 or 6 gigs using this thing. And what it is and why. So this is a Encore Strat from, I believe, late 90s, early 2000s that I got off my local marketplace for £30. And the idea was that this is going to be a test bed for experiments. So I wanted to get the cheapest guitar, make it playable. It still needs a little fret leveling, but so far it turned out really great. But the most important feature is that I wanted to achieve one thing. I wanted to have bass strings and guitar strings on the same guitar, but I wanted to split those two instruments into two separate audio paths. And why is that? Because I was using Fender Blackface amps, either Princeton or Twin. And in heat of the fight, in big rooms with big PAs, guitar amps don't necessarily handle bass sound that well. So my idea was, let's make the guitar amp do the guitar thing, and the bass sound can go through either PA direct or through a bass amp. So what I ended up was I decided to try wind my own pickups. So this thing here, I know that it's visible, bridge pickup is just a blank. There's nothing there. Here in the middle position I have a little narrow pickup that's only underneath 2 bass strings, and for neck I have another short pickup just for 4 strings. I bought 42 gauge wire on eBay. I bought some Alnico 5 magnets. I had my 3D printer and a little hand drill, battery power hand drill. These were my first attempts at winding pickups, and the first time I wound something, I just kept going until the spool of wire was on the magnets. I soldered my wires to a little experimental jig that was soldered directly to a jack lead and into my interface. I took measurements to check DC resistance, and I could see that the coil was actually, it had continuity. It showed some numbers that seemed to be in the ballpark. And whenever I put it back into guitar, though I didn't use this guitar, I used my jazz box as my test bed because there was plenty of space underneath the strings to quickly shove something with a painter's tape just to see what is. I'm an impatient guy. I want to see the results right away, so it was always slapped very, very, very quickly, all covered in yellow painter's tape. But I remember that on my first try, I got already something usable, and it was the best thing in the world, I can think. So I started experimenting with different sizes of coils, with different amount of wire, with different width and different configurations. But I ended up, I'd say, possibly on my 3rd attempt, I ended up with something that was really, really satisfying. And my idea was to get a pickup for guitar strings that wouldn't be too bright. I have this sensory thing. I don't like too brittle sounds. Most of the stuff that I do is pretty much jazz-like comping, a bit of a blues, but nothing too spiky, and pretty much no overdriven sounds. So the way I wired it, the guitar pickup just goes through volume and tone to a normal output, and bass pickup goes straight to additional jack. So I have two leads. One is going to bass rig, one is going to guitar rig, and I'm gonna play it a bit and see to just to show what it does, but to make the separation more clear, I'll pan bass and guitar into separate channels. So if anyone watches with stereo speakers or on headphones, it's gonna be more obvious how this effect is actually how well pronounced it is. And I'm gonna shut up now because it's quite late in here, and I'm not using my monitors. I'm only using my headphones, and I don't want string rattle to bleed into my voiceover mic, which will and spoil and definitely spoil the experience. So I'm gonna shut up for now, and I'm gonna play a bit and then a bit of show and tell. All right, so what what are my observations? First of all, is I'm really happy with the guitar pickup because it's not too brittle. The rattle that is now audible is mostly strings rattling into my microphone, but it behaves really nicely with volume control and tone control. I can roll off treble, and it's nice mellow tone. When it comes to bass sound, it's really well separated, and there is just a slight bleed of A string into guitar pickup, which I think that I'll address at some point. I can just make this pickup slightly narrower, because it doesn't really take much of magnetic field to make it appear in the coil. And I tried other ideas like removing magnets and removing pole pieces from 6-string pickups, but it's pretty much, I would say, it turns string volume slightly, but it's nowhere near eliminating sound of string without a magnet. There is enough of magnetic flux to induce something in the coil. Interestingly enough, I also did an experiment where I removed magnets and pole pieces altogether, and put them against the strings, and whenever there is another pickup installed on the guitar, strings become magnetic, and that's also enough to put fairly faint but perfectly audible signal in the coil. So that was quite interesting for me to find out that yes, certain things help. Yes, certain things like magnet height can change how strings are loud, and if the balance of the pickup is right. But in this particular case, I also discovered a lot of things that certain factors that we take for granted are not really that are not really that pronounced, or not that much of a factor as we usually think. Yeah, that's one of those things. And the configuration that I usually run it is both channels go to the stereo loop pedal. So I have guitar part and bass part recorded whenever I need to take a solo in between singer, for example. So I already have my comping pre-recorded, and I can just turn the volume up for my solo to slightly stand out, but it doesn't clog the amplifier that I'm playing. So it just stays at the volume that I played it. Or I usually choose to have it slightly quieter on my solos than the main comping that I do. But yes, I mean, this thing turned out really well. So maybe if I'll turn my microphone slightly. Microphone. Okay. Oops. I'll get it slightly closer. Oh yeah. So that I can speak closer to the microphone, and there's maybe less bleed and rattle. So right now I have guitar punched to the right. This is all the way up, now with the roll off of the tone. And bass is in the left channel, I believe. Yep, all the way. And even while playing very, very obvious chords, it's already quite pleasant. I have reverb on guitar sound, and let me see one thing. Yes, I. One more thing. Because I'm dealing with a couple of things in here, because I'm using OBS streaming module for the first time, and it does what it does. It's okay. Yeah, it seems okay now. All right, so I'm back. Anyway, with this thing, possibly one more thing that I'm thinking is to get another cheap Strat-like guitar and try the electronic way, because what I'm missing from this whole thing are two guitar strings that are sometimes nice to solo on. So I'd like to try a different solution, to have a split pickup, exactly like this one, but I would also just put normal guitar strings and run this split bass pickup into an octave pedal or something like electro-harmonics bass machine that is quite convincing. But my previous experiences with octave pedals were quite abysmal. Tracking was awful. They don't like any rattles in the background, so they only track as good as I can cleanly play. But whenever I do anything else while comping, unfortunately, it's not enough to keep it to keep the signal clean enough, so that there is no bleed, and it actually hears the fundamental to track and to properly transpose. Though octave dividers work slightly differently, but the ones that I tried were not too happy, or the most common thing was that one string was way louder than the other one. And what I tried was a submarine pickup, tiny little two-string submarine pickup. It was terribly difficult to keep it on guitar in the right exact right position. So I had to 3D print some mounts. There was tiny little leads everywhere. There were too many places that this thing could fail on the gig. So I just ditched the whole idea altogether. Came back to just having bass strings on a normal guitar, but running through a single pickup. And at this point, bass strings having higher mass and way more of a wiggle room, they sound always way louder than the guitar strings. So again, there was no really way of compensating it. It was to the extent that I removed pole pieces from P90 pickup, and it was still too loud. I mean, there was still bleeding all around. So this solution just with two tiny pickups that I think this is as close as I can get to whatever I actually thought it would be. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a try with further developments, and we'll see. So far, this thing, the total cost of building this thing, I paid £30 for guitar, £13 for a spool of 42 AWG wire, and I believe around £6 for magnets. So altogether, it was around £55, around $65-70, and I learned a lot. And it didn't take really that much time to get on it. I think it was possibly afternoon and a half to get it perfectly gig worthy. So. So yeah, I know it doesn't seem like there's much to it, but yeah, I really like how it turned out. Let me just check one more thing. Because there are certain features that are slightly missing from okay. Now I see. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna play for a bit and then I'll just go and go and practice because I'm terrible. So this is gonna be a bye-bye song. Thanks to everyone who showed up. I only see numbers. I think that my streaming software by default made this video for kids, and that's why I don't have monetization and chat on it. But anyway, next time I'll be more cautious. So, fellow kids, I hope you enjoyed the stream, and see you soon.